Hello everyone, this is Aegon of Astora, and welcome back to my caster build playthrough of Dark Souls Remastered. This is episode number 15, being recorded on Monday the 23rd of July. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, whenever it is you find yourself watching this. So as I was just mentioning to the viewers joining us on Twitch, I unfortunately don't have a lot of time today, and haven't had a lot of time in the last week and a half or so. So I'm really far behind on editing. The last episode I edited and uploaded, I think, was episode 10 or 11. So you may have to forgive me if I forget where we were, things we were doing, stuff I said we were going to be doing in this episode. Because it's been a pretty crazy week and a half for personal reasons, as well as for the fact that we're about to be legislated back to work. In the process, our right to bargain collectively, which is protected in Canada under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, has been violated. And I'm really stressed out about returning to the classroom and having to explain everything that happened to my students. Because, you know, I do respect and acknowledge the fact that it's shitty for them to be caught in the middle of something like this. But also, I don't know what, if anything, we could have done differently. And I don't really think there was anything we could have done differently. So, yeah. It's not been a fun time in my life, unfortunately. But the legal recourse would be launching what is called a charter challenge. And that is to say, in Canada, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms protects citizens from having their rights violated by governmental and quasi-governmental agencies. And my university, as a public university, is a quasi-governmental agency. And because a quasi-governmental agency has violated our rights, we do have the ability to launch a charter challenge, but those are expensive and legally difficult and all those things, and I don't know that any charter challenge has been filed for something like this, but yeah, we'll see what happens. So this is New Londo Ruins, and it is quite the dark, damp, and depressing place. And it's among the areas that gave me a ton of trouble when I first started playing this game. In part because I did not know about the transient curse. Actually, we should probably read the item description for that. Transient curse, limb of the victim of a curse. Temporary curse allows engagement with ghosts. The only way to fight back against ghosts who are cursed beings is to become cursed oneself. The safest method, however dreadful, is to cut off an arm of the dead. Yeah, the abyss was, or New Londo was flooded, seemingly, to keep the abyss at bay. That's the official narrative anyway. Whether or not that's one you accept is, of course, ultimately up to you. I don't know that there are any really plausible alternative ideas about what happened here. But the official story is the official story, and I think more than questioning whether that's something that happened or not, we get a parrying dagger here, is there are, of course, moral questions as to whether or not this was the right thing to do. And we are not at all equipped, actually, in terms of our spells to deal with the ghosts here. And part of those moral questions concerns not only the death of innocent people, but as we can see here, the death of this woman whom I usually kill before she does that. So that was quite the shock to me there. Shoots lightning at you from her baby. Yeah, that was a baby in her hand. And the baby shoots lightning at you. Quite the shock indeed. Pun not intended, but I'll take it. So, yeah, Sam Samuel, they had a referendum and everything went downhill from there. So there are obviously, or there were obviously a lot of innocent lives lost here. So that is just a crummy soul item here, I think. Yeah, and the idea is that this ghost will mess you up if you go to get it. There's another one under the ground over here. We're just gonna run on by. And this is, again, quite literally a monster closet right here. And that did not work well at all. Stop shooting me with your baby! Stop it! Oh my god. Oh my god, we're dead. So yeah, let's fix our magic situation here. We were not at all equipped to deal with any of that. So Twiggy had a good question, and that is, why does the baby shoot lightning? And I would like to know that as well. I'm open to hearing any ideas about that, or whether it's just, hey, we need this baby to shoot an attack, what should we have them do? The woman herself was holding the baby. Her face looked very red as well. And that's not something I ever noticed before. So if we're to assume that lightning attacks are inherently tied to faith, then perhaps I could hazard... She has the glowing red eyes, I think, which makes her stand out since she's transparent. Yeah. Yeah, 'cause these ones don't have glowing red eyes. But so if I were to hazard a guess, you might say something like, insofar as lightning attacks are tied to faith, that babies, just by virtue of the fact that they're babies, they trust absolutely. Because you know, they don't really have any other choice. So a baby trusts absolutely. In other words, they have faith in their mothers and their fathers and, you know, the people that are around them that they trust. And so, if I had to hazard a completely speculative guess as to why the baby shoots lightning, that's what I would suggest. That it has something to do with the fact that babies have faith, they trust absolutely, and that in this case, that obviously led... Oh, we're getting serious frame rate drops here, which is not good, because that could wreak havoc on the audio-video syncing. So this is a soul item here. Stop it! Silly ghosts. So many of them, too. Probably should have just dealt with all the ghosts, because now I think we're gonna die again. Come on, no, no, no. Oh, they're so quick. So this spot here, if I remember correctly, is where we would have fought... Oh, I can't remember the name of the boss. There was a cut content boss that we would have fought here in order to prove ourselves to Ingward, the Keeper of the Seal, who would then give us the seal so that we could go fight the Four Kings in the Abyss. I thought it might have indicated New Londo's ties to Gwyn, same with the Pygmies in the Ring City. Gwyn bestowed his Lord Soul to the kings of New Londo. He might have taught their citizens lightning attacks. Yeah, very well said, Twiggy. Yeah, that's as likely an explanation as I've heard up to this point about that. Well, let's talk to Ingward and see what he has to say.
Well, this is a surprise. I get few visitors, save for ghosts. You have the Lord Vessel. Very impressive. I know exactly what your intentions are. You seek the Four Kings, whom I guard over. This is the key to the seal.
Yeah, that's correct, Daedalus. Yeah, Undead King Jariel. That's who it was supposed to be. And had some wicked armor, and at least in the version of the game that this has been recovered on, it still had a lot of false King Alliance grunts and moves and things like that. So I don't know if that was supposed to be like homage to King Alliance. More likely it seems it was like a placeholder for that they just used to bring Undead King Jariel alive for the first time, and that they just never ended up finishing it or making it its own fight. But so we got the key to the seal, because we have the Lord Vessel. Thank you, friend.
The Four Kings slumber in the deepest chamber of the ruins. Use this key to break the seal and open the floodgates. Oh, and do not forget, the dark wraiths reside in a dark void called the Abyss. But the Abyss is no place for ordinary mortals. Although, long ago, the knight Artorias traversed the Abyss. If you can find him and learn from him, the Abyss may prove surmountable.
So we have to find someone named Artorias. Which is very interesting. Key to the seal. Key to the floodgates of New Londo, which seal away the Four Kings who fell to the dark. The sealers flooded New Londo to banish the Dark Race and the Four Kings. The agonizing decision was made with the realization that countless lives and the robust culture of the city would be lost. The victims now roam the ruins as ghosts. So at the very least, that shows that the decision wasn't made lightly. It's described as an agonizing decision, which is to say that they agonized over it because they knew there was it wasn't an easy decision to make. So at the very least, there was that. It doesn't make it right what they did, but...
Hello there. What is it? The key to the seal is now in your hands. I will help you in any way possible.
So if you are ever cursed, you can come to Ingward to have your curse broken, and this is before even you have the key to the seal or anything like that. So he can break your curse, but we are not cursed. And he does also sell Transient Curse. More Transient Curses, we should get a couple just in case. As well as Resist Curse. Sorcery of the Red-Robed Remedition, Ingward. Guardian of the Seal in New Londo. Sacrifice humanity to undo curse. Abhorrent curses eat away at the core of one's very existence, and cleansing oneself of curses is no easy task indeed.
New Londo was sacrificed to contain the Dark Wraiths. Mark my words, the Dark Wraiths are the enemies of man and any living thing that has a soul. They were never meant to roam again.
Okay, friend. Thank you kindly. Well, it was nice of you to educate that person, BVA. We're probably going to die going back down because we left all those ghosts alive, but let's see. No, stop it! With your baby lightning! Oh my gosh. Oh, this is not good, friends. Oh my gosh. They're like the entire friggin' city is after us. So we got a Jagged Ghost Blade, which is good, because we can learn a little bit more about them. And we will learn a little bit more about the Kings of New Londo once we get their soul. Or their soul shard, I should say. We're still alive, surprisingly. I don't know that we deserve to be after all of that. It is really cool how they just sort of pop up out of the floor and whatnot. I have always enjoyed that. As much as I hate fighting the enemies, I have enjoyed the creepiness of them. And how just unsettling the entire thing is. Don't remember what ring is at over here. Oh, the Curse Bite ring, that's right. The Ghost Room is still one of the few places that still gives me trouble. Yeah, you're not alone there. Absolutely not. Well, because it is, again, another literal monster closet. No, stop it. Not nice, Ghost. Not nice. So the way they slit throats. Like, I wonder if that's meant to be... like... maybe... before the town was even flooded, these women were executed or something. Like, because it's curious how intent they are on slitting your throat. Don't remember what the other item is up here. It's like a humanity or something, and then there's a sacrifice ring on the roof. Let's see. Yeah, humanity, and then that is a ring of sacrifice, I believe. But we're just going to leave it because I don't want to go through the monster closet again. There seems to be an abundance of curse resist items in New Londo, but no basilisks. I feel like I should have something intelligent to say about that, but it's lost on me at the moment. So let's drain the water. And the drakes have high being pummeled by water resist, yeah. Yeah, you do have to wonder how they survive that each time. Whenever you're draining New Londo, they're always fine when you go over there. You would expect that they might have been wiped out or something, but I guess again, given its name, Valley of Drakes, that there are so many of them there that the ones we're finding are the ones that are still kicking around. Okay, so we got the Curse Bite Ring. One of the infamous bite rings commissioned by Sir Astor of Karim. Despite the dreadful rumors surrounding its creation, this ring is an unmistakable asset in its ability to help prevent curses. And so the rumors concerning its creation are probably rooted in the fact that if you look very closely at the ring, you can see that there's a skull embedded in it. So as with other items that are meant to address curses or to alleviate curses, you're not actually getting rid of the curse, you're just transferring it to something or someone else. So the curse, well, I think in order to get the curse resist items, if that is indeed the case, BVA, you would have to struggle more than you would having to go to the depths, because I think this area is a fair bit harder than the depths is, personally. Or at least it was for me early on, just because there's so much that you don't know yet about the game. This Dark Race like, oh, what? Someone here? Ooh, Dark Hand. Speaking of which, Dark Hand. The Dark Race, incited by Koth, used the power of the Dark Soul to absorb humanity, an art shared by this weapon, which also acts as a special shield. The Ancients, particularly, could sap the humanity of even a replete saint in the blink of an eye. They do indeed drop the Dark Hand. Not in Dark Souls 3, but they do in Dark Souls 1. I think that's the only way you can get it. Whereas in Dark Souls 3, it's sold, of course, by Yuria. We have some red eye orbs here. Yeah, no, it's very much canon. And it's not a coincidence, because if you kill the four kings before you place the Lord Vessel with Kingseeker Frempt, then Kath will appear in the Abyss. So he was not only a big part of the corruption, you actually free him by undoing the seal and unflooding New Londo ruins. What a circuitous route, friend. What are you trying to do? Okay, that was strange. Oh. So that big blob thing has a name. I don't remember what it is. But that's the first time I've ever witnessed the exploding heads actually coming out of the big blob thing. Oh, that was close. Massive souls. Thank you, Twiggy. I don't know what these guys are called. I think exploding heads is rather apt, though, because that is what they do. Thank gosh we're doing so much damage. So if I were human, you might be able to summon... Witch Beatrice there. I don't know what the exploding heads are. Other than exploding heads. Because we do find them in the catacombs as well, so they're not unique to this area by any stretch of the imagination. That running attack they do is the one attack that I can parry pretty reliably, but other than that, I'm not exceptionally good at dealing with those guys. So it's not only a mass of souls, but you can see there's a mass of bodies and faces in there as well. So perhaps an early precursor to the Rotten from Dark Souls 2. Oh gosh, always too late with that. I love how passive they are and just... Oh my god. 1 HP. 1 HP. That's incredible. They just allow you to backstab them pretty much. The DW placement really feels like they're waiting to ambush you and not like they're roaming free. Yeah. They might just be a form of dark magic that we never learned. They remind me of Martyr Logarius. Yeah, they do look similar to at least the particle effects used by the likes of Martyr Logarius in Bloodborne. Sorry, Mr. Spooky Darkwraith. So we are going to return to Firelink before we do the boss fight. No! Camera got all screwy there. No! Oh. So yeah, here we can see not only the silly drakes, but the full, if poorly textured, consequences of their decision to flood New Londo ruins. It's pretty dreadful. Yeah, they don't seem to have missed a beat, that's for sure. And this right here is where we would have come out had we come down here after opening the seal, as opposed to warping to Firelink and then taking the long route around. But we do have a bunch of stuff to get up here, including perhaps the most important item in New Londo Ruins, and that is the very large ember. There's also a composite bow around here somewhere, but for some reason I can't remember where the heck it is. Huge ember of highest quality, handled by the blacksmiths of Astora. So we don't get a ton of information there. They might be protecting the Four Kings and Kath. But I think that's it. Not an exceptionally long area when you don't struggle through it. Alright, let's go back to Firelink. I also just realized that we had yet to kindle this bonfire, so let's do that now. Okay, we're off to fight the Four Kings. So we could summon Witch Beatrice. And I want to say that we need to do that if we want to find her set afterwards and read the item descriptions, but I don't know that there's anything exceptionally interesting in those item descriptions. So I think in the interest of just doing the boss fight alone, we're just going to leave that. And then we're going to speak with Ingward and get him to come back to Firelink. That was a very awkward death animation there, friend. Her coat is amazing. She is quite the fashion soulzista. I'm looking forward to us going back to the Undead Burg in a couple of episodes, because we've yet to do the Undead Burg. But that is going to be very interesting. And I suspect that the boss is going to get one-shotted. That's the plan, anyway. Oh, get off me! Oh, the whole time we could have been one-shotting the ghosts. That would have made that other room much, much easier to deal with. Oh well. I think, as with a lot of the builds in Dark Souls 1, tank builds, for me anyway, when I say I think a tank build is great, I'm speaking almost strictly in terms of a tank build that would permit you to help other people in PvE. So you could summon Beatrice here. She's looking quite snazzy. She's got a nice little heretic staff, which suggests, again, that the Vinheim people aren't the only ones doing magic. And that, much like the pyromancers Beatrice's people have their own magic tradition that is apart from and special in its own right when compared to the Vinheim sorcery tradition. So you gotta wonder what this building originally was. That there's just a staircase leading into nothingness. I'm gonna assume that previously this was higher. That this was a tower or spire or something that stretched really high above the ground. But here, because of the abyss perhaps, it sort of sunk into the ground. Here we can see once again into the Valley of Drakes, as well as all the bodies there, the victims of the New Londo Ruins flood, and a little patch of daylight. Which creates quite the contrast to where we're about to go. I think that's just the ambient noise of the area. You can, of course, just hop down as soon as you enter the fog gate. But what I have had happen on more than one occasion is I've bumped off of one of these things and then fallen to my death. So ever since I did that for the first time, I've generally just run down to the bottom. Which looks like this. I'm curious about one thing. So it's curious that it makes that noise. And you know what, for the sake of posterity, because it's not incorrect in saying that if you jump down there you will die, and it's not incorrect when saying that because the only way you'll survive is if you wear the Covenant of Artorias, which it was said to symbolize his covenant with the beasts of the Abyss. Yeah, it seems like we only see the topmost area of the city, and a lot of it has sunk completely into the Abyss, yeah. So for the sake of posterity, because I don't know that I've ever shown this in a playthrough I've done, but this is what it looks like when you go into the Abyss without first putting on the ring. Okay, I actually didn't know that was gonna happen. I think Londo is supposed to mean land. So, Anor Londo I think is supposed to mean like land of the gods. Whereas New Londo just means new land. Yeah, that's what I was looking for, Silenarmel. That's what I was expecting was going to happen. So this time we're gonna go into the Abyss, and then we're going to take off the ring and see what happens. Because that is what I was expecting to happen immediately. So we were taken by the Abyss. It still has the unique death animation. I seem to recall it looking like blinds, like a blinds transition. So they might have changed the animation, but it still has the same the same end effect, which is that it looks like you're sinking into quicksand. Pretty cool. I really enjoy that. And the fact that it actually has that message when you get back to Firelink, or whatever the last bonfire is that you rested at. Because it is a unique area in the sense that even though you get a bonfire in the Abyss after you defeat the Four Kings, it's worthy just to think about the fact that in Dark Souls 3, there are bonfires everywhere. In Dark Souls 3, almost certainly there would have been a bonfire here as you were entering the area, and then maybe another one on the lower level. Whereas this is obviously Dark Souls 1, and even though they added a bonfire in this game, it is interesting to me that the closest bonfire to the Abyss, other than the bonfire in the Abyss, is Firelink Shrine. But the Abyss didn't like you and put you back at Firelink, yeah. Dark Souls 3, there would have been three bonfires, two of which in spitting distance of one another, yeah. I don't know if it's that you get dragged into it, as much as the Covenant of Artorias permits you to walk on the Abyss. So you're walking on a plane. You're walking on an abyss. But when you're not wearing the ring, you just sink into it. Because an abyss doesn't have planes to it. It's just an abyss. I'm not sure if that makes any sense, but that is how I understand it anyway. Interesting, the difference in terms of damage with us having 0 humanity versus 10 humanity, that with 10 humanity, 1 backstab kills the Dark Rays. Whoa! What's happening with your friend? Your hair there, friend? That's why you don't use animal pelts for your hair. You can throw carvings through the floor after beating the Four Kings. Okay, interesting. We'll have to try that out. Look at this hair. That is remarkable. Live fast and leave a fabulous corpse, indeed. Yep. That Dark Wraith is like the definition of YOLO. New Londo Rave 2K18, yep. It makes sense, Aegon. I just like to imagine it being a creature that is infecting a world like a spooky parasite. Well, and your note about it's like the Abyss pulls you in is an interesting one in light of the fact that the Mercmen in the Ring City DLC of Dark Souls 3, they do very much pull you into the deep or the Abyss. So it's a thing. You're not wrong about that. Oh, that's a different attack. So as you can see, we got 2 additional shots in on that king there, even after it died. So that's always a good, worthwhile thing to do. is to just keep going at it after you've already killed one, because you get lots of free hits on them. Oh yeah, it sucked humanity too. Yeah, that's another thing worth noting. We had 10 humanity, now we have 9. Whoa, how did that not? I thought that would have killed the boss for sure. Thank you, Sam Samuel. I never would have known to try that. That is incredible. A very cool little touch. That is extremely cool. Do you actually hear the carving explode, though? I guess there's no communicating with carvings in the Abyss. Today I learned. And so, again, had we not already placed a Lord Vessel with Darkstalker, or with Kingseeker Frampt, this is where Darkstalker Koth would show up. So now that we've defeated the Four Kings, I wonder what happens when we take off the ring. Nothing. So that's presumably a gameplay consideration, considering that you can come back here and offer humanity to Darkstalker Koth, and you don't want to have to remember to put back on your ring every single time. So yeah, that's the thing. So we do have one more thing to do here. And that is go speak with Ingward again. Hi, friend.
Magnificent. You defeated the Four Kings. Impressive, even for a bearer of the Lord Vessel. And with this, my purpose is exhausted. I have not seen the sun for a long time. Perhaps I could do with a change.
Interesting. He has not seen the sun in some time. Well, except perhaps if you count the spot here where you can sort of see the sun, but maybe not from his perspective, I guess.
Perhaps.
Okay. See you later, friend. So something that not a lot of people are aware of, I think, is the fact that after you defeat the Four Kings, if you want to be bothered going back to where Ingward is and speaking with him again, you can actually get him to come to Firelink. Because he says that, he hasn't seen the sun in some time, and now that the Four Kings are dead, he really has no reason to be in New Londo anymore, seemingly. Hello.
Oh, hello. The sunlight made me wince, and now I've come back to this dark hole. So what brings you here? I will help you in any way I can.
The sunlight made me wince, so now I've come back to this dark hole. So is he saying that he went to enter Londo or something, but now he's back here? Oh, so he moved to a shady spot. Yeah, that... But still, odd way of describing it. This is not exactly a dark hole. Yeah, that's fair enough, everyone. Yeah, he doesn't really have anything to say other than that, unfortunately. But that's going to do it for this episode. So thank you all very, very much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.